What's going on, guys? Chad here with you. Welcome back to the Dorky and 40 channel. And today we're going to talk about my 5-inch jam for the rest of the summer and the foreseeable future. And that is the Craft Quads Low Flow. So this is a premium frame made here in the United States. I fleeted out, got two of these bad boys going. We'll go over the builds. I'll show you some mid-range flight video. Haven't really got a chance to fly a ton lately because of the weather. It's just been horrible, but these things are great. There's some really cool features that are built into the frames. I myself, usually I'm like, a frame is kind of a frame. I've been happy with the Source ones, but I wanted to take it to that next premium level after breaking some arms. And, I've modified those a little bit just to make them better anyway, slammed them a little bit and everything like that. These frames check all of the boxes that a lot of other frames have had maybe one or two of these features in. And we're going to go over them here on the bench. Let me take you onto the website real quick and show you what we're looking at first. So this is it right here, the Low Flow Freestyle V2 with 5-inch arms. See the price there on everything. And this has so many cool features built into it that I'll show you and we'll talk about here. First of all, big shout out to Martin Novak, Fly Life Co. He talks about this frame a lot. It's kind of his main flying rig as well. His footage speaks for itself, even though he is in all the real steady stuff and everything like that. The way that he speaks about tuning and just things that I know that from my experience that we're just kind of on the same level when it comes to what we're looking for in a frame. A couple things real quick. You can see how all of the arms kind of like have these cuts right here, and they all interlock in together here in this plate in the bottom, nice and tight. And then you tighten that all down with, this is kind of the kicker, T10 Torx titanium heat treated hardware. So gives it a little bling, and also the Torx, they just don't strip. They don't strip out like a lot of your Allen heads and socket caps and stuff like that. Kind of a side view of the frame there. We'll take a look at mine on the bench here and give you guys a little bit better idea of what it actually looks like. Christian Avedon, the maker of these, he makes these here in the United States. He cuts these himself, packages, assembles, all that kind of good stuff by itself. So he's got two different variants here. He's got this tumbled carbon, which is super soft and has nice soft edges. So it's almost like it's chamfered, but it's not. So that's really nice. And then he's got a gloss finish as well, which the gloss looks really sweet, and it has a nice feel to it as well. And if you look here, you can see how the arms just kind of interlock inside there. You get the bling from the titanium hardware that's heat treated, all that kind of good stuff. Tons of camera protection here. We've got an extra camera plate, a couple standoffs here that the GoPro mount goes into. He has all of his files on Thingiverse for you to print out. Real nice and simple. When it comes to the frame design itself, let's talk about all of the boxes that it checks. And we'll use the glossy one here. I think it just kind of shows up better on camera. So first of all, my all-up build with the Hero 7 and everything like that, 6S 1150s is around 702 grams. That's kind of where I'm coming in right now on everything. That's with GoPro, ND filter, all that kind of stuff. So we got a True X design going on here, which, pretty much the Alien whatever has that. So that's kind of one of those things that other frames have. It's got the slammed deck, so that's putting your gyro in line with the prop line more, which is kind of creating more of just a better feel that maybe some of you guys can't feel out yet due to your skill level or how many things you've flown, but after you play with these things for so many years, you do start to notice a lot of these tendencies. So far we've got the design of the X based off of the Alien. It's 236 millimeters as well, and you can see with 5-inch props, there's plenty of clearance there, and that's kind of a big thing that like Bob Ruge, Bob FPV talks about, is having clean air for everything to fly into. So, you know, when you're flying, you can definitely feel that you have a lot more authority because your turbulence and everything, like your air isn't being combined into these pockets, kind of like my Source 1 was. So you definitely feel like more balance. And then again, you know, it's kind of slammed, kind of like the Chameleons are, so that way you get that prop line closer to the gyro. And then quads like the Steez and even the Dolphin 1 now, it's running the battery toilet tank style right behind the GoPro, so that when you're flying, you know, all of your mass is kind of centralized right here. Bob talks about that a lot with his toothpick frame, Jet and Anub and stuff when they made the Steez and everything back in the day. Spoke about that a lot themselves, and everything just feels a lot, it just feels more nimble and more in control in the air, despite what kind of firmware that I have on it, because I am flying Flight 1 Falco X in here, but I did have Betaflight on these in order just to black box and get a noise profile, which was like super clean. I could run minimal filtering, like no gyro filtering, just the notch and D-term filtering on Betaflight with these, no problem. And that really comes down to the quality of carbon and the build and everything else. So both of these have a Micro Eagle inside there, you know, a lot of camera protection, and we have Unify Race V3s built into them, Crossfire, and of course the Johnny FPV props. Been running nothing but Azor props lately, man. They are just like super nice in this 5-inch and 6-inch. So a couple cons to the actual build, it's definitely tight. As you can see in there, there is not much room for a whole lot of anything once you get your ESC and flight controller in there. And then of course I've got the Crossfires stuck on top of the Unify back there. So it definitely is a Tetris game when it comes to putting the quad together, as Martin has said a couple times. This one has the Eco motors. This one over here has the Wii motors. Definitely am looking for a motor upgrade on these in the future. Something that is a little bit more higher quality. So I guess you could say the room inside there is going to be one of the downsides. But if you've ever built like a Chameleon or anything like that, you shouldn't have any problem with that. Now, the one thing that's kind of I don't like, but I just kind of deal with it and hope that I don't have to repair that often, is that you do have to take out all 4 screws with these 2 standoffs underneath here to get the GoPro mount out. And then the 3rd bolt for the top plate is going into a standoff back here. So that's how you get the top plate off. The other problem with that is a lot of these ESCs now are getting like super big with like heat sinks and covers and stuff like that. So the ability to use a slammed frame is going to be probably becoming a little bit more limited. And the other thing is my ESC, the Bolt 32 in here, oriented this way works perfect with this quad, because that way that's just how the toilet tank works, and it gets your power leads out away from the electronics and cleans up video and stuff like that a lot better. But there is a standoff inside there, and it is super tight to the bolt. So I actually took a Dremel and, you know, Dremeled like half of that standoff off where the bolt goes, so that way there's like no touching or vibration. So there's a couple little things. This probably would be more suited for an individual ESC type of build, which I have a ton of like Tempest F4s and stuff like that laying around. But, you know, this is working great on the Schizo tune and on the Low D Blackbird tune on Falco X. So let's take a look at some flight footage here, and we'll just kind of talk a little bit through it, and that's then we'll finish things up. So this is going to be a nice mid-range type of flight here that we had with it. Now this thing will rip up, park flying, freestyling, whatever. Running the Schizo tune on this, as I said, with Falco X. Messing around with the rates and stuff like that a lot. When you get a frame that flies so locked in and consistent, it's kind of fun just kind of trying to get rates that are just perfect for you in the frame. It's a little bit different than anything that I've flown before, but you can see that definitely pretty smooth on the sticks, and I have to contribute a lot of that to the firmware, but also to just the perfect setup and balance of the frame. The slam deck, the open air design, all of it lends itself to just a nice, well-balanced flight. It's funny how with most of this flight I actually have like 0 stick inputs because everything just holds and locks so good. But you can see the video is super smooth. Don't really have a lot of like jerky motions and movements built into this, mostly because, like I said, it's flying consistent. The Source 1 tends to kind of bounce and pop into the air because so much thrust is vectored in a certain direction, and then you have those dirty pockets. I actually even cleaned up the throttle control even more lately because I went back to the regular Hall effect gimbal in my Taranis and got rid of that race one with the shorter throw. It was just too hard to adapt and change, and I just really didn't like having to set throttle curves constantly and everything like that. And after flowing through the trees for a while, just kind of popping it up and doing some more flowy hang time type of things, popping it up in the air again, just feeling things out still, just kind of loving how things were feeling and enjoying the night. So I'll give you guys some more video coming up in the future on this, show you ripping it a little bit harder, let you know how it actually can handle crashes, which I'm sure it's going to just fine based on the quality of the carbon and the frame itself. So anyway, got any questions, let me know. Really appreciate it, guys. We will talk to you later.